Interesting to see what that enterprising school teacher is all about, and we do hope that many young people will be able to learn one or two things. We did see that this teacher is passing on the trade to other members of the village. Thank you so much, Justin, for that report. Now, moving on the program, I did make mention that we will be looking at trade financing in detail, and so to help me discuss that, I'm now joined in studio by David Mwambazi, who is AccuSave Corporate Brokers Director. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Sonda.
Okay.
And thank you for having me.
All right. So help us understand what trade financing is.
Okay, so basically trade finance is the involvement of financial instruments into the facilitation of international trade and commerce. And it obviously involves both international and domestic trade.
All right. So then how does an entrepreneur or somebody get into trade financing?
Okay, so basically, when you look at trade finance, how it all came about, like I said, it involves the issuance of financial instruments such as letters of credit. So now you understand that if you're dealing on the international scene, you'll appreciate the risks that are involved in international trade. For example, if you're going to deal with a person, say, who's overseas. You've never met them before, and then they give you probably an invoice, and then you have to wire a lot of money to them. Now, there are chances that they may not perform. So international trade, trade finance basically just mitigates the risk. So where a bank comes in and just steps up and says, look, once the supplier is able to perform or meet their obligations, then they're guaranteed of their payment.
So in short, there's a middleman in between.
Yes, and in the middleman in this case happens to be a bank.
Okay. So you've mentioned...
Or a financial institution.
Oh, okay. You've mentioned in brief that there are possible risks to doing this on your own. Highlight in detail, because I know there could be an entrepreneur right now who's taking up all the risks upon themselves.
Okay, so basically, I'm sure you've all come across, I'm sure yourself and Sonda have come across a situation or a scenario where somebody has blindly trusted a trader or a supplier who's promising to send them goods, and then they ship the money to them and nothing happens. Yeah, so that's basically what trade finance tries to mitigate against. Yes.
So here's an entrepreneur watching the show, and they could be interested, and they're thinking, so there's an in-between that can try and mitigate my risks. How do they go about it? Starting getting involved with ensuring that their risks are brought to almost nothing, zero.
Okay, so for starters, it's basically just to tell your supplier that, look, I'd like to transact with you, but obviously to mitigate my risk and your risk, I'll issue a letter of credit or a bank guarantee or maybe a standby letter of credit to secure your payment and also secure my position as well as a buyer.
How accessible is this? Can anybody access this? What is the procedure?
Yes, okay, look, basically since we've been around, we've noticed that our company has been of great help to a lot of, local business people, especially guys in the construction sector. You must understand that, say, for entities like government, before they issue a big contract or they award you a big contract, they'll ask for a form of bank instrument just to secure their interest, just to to get some form of guarantee that you will perform as a client, and that should government advance you some amount of money, you'll be able to to take the funds towards what they're intended for, and not just go out there and buy yourself a latest Range Rover. So that is where now bank instruments come into place. And yes,
I ask because with certain businesses, or when an entrepreneur is trying to do certain businesses, there's a certain amount of money that they ought to have to do certain transactions. So in the event that they want to engage in trade financing, can anybody with as minimal amount of money be able to transact?
Okay, yeah. So look, with trade financing, basically for a local bank, or maybe for most conventional banks, before they could issue, say, maybe a letter of credit, maybe you can say, let's pick $1 million, for example, they will require that you give them maybe collateral, or they'll require you to give them a cash cover and a certain percentage that obviously the bank will charge as what we'd call maybe bank charges or service charges. But you see, what we have done as a network, because AccuServe belongs to a network called Hewitt for Finance. So what we've done is we have had our principals put money and assets in different banks around the world, and then we try to make it more flexible, where maybe clients are just subject to bank charges, and then the rest we structure it in a way where we structure the deal in a way where we secure the bank, and also we make sure that the goods go to the intended buyer, so that when payments are made, the bank is also covered.
You're already talking about $1 million. That's huge money. My question is, what's the minimum amount that a person can probably engage a broker to do the trade financing?
Okay, look, our company probably would touch something like $100,000 going upwards. But obviously now we've had a story like a story of the gentleman that you just put across there. We've realized that we obviously in a market where people are trying to start small, and most people are just startups. So I've had so many approvals that have come to my office, like, where my team is pushing me to get approvals for smaller amounts, so we can just be of benefit to the small upcoming players.
And speaking of small upcoming players, because I think that's where the majority of entrepreneurs in this country lie, what do you think are some of the difficulties they go through in acquiring finance to because that's a startup? He's doing that from his backyard. How does he move from the backyard? Because for him to move from the backyard, he needs finance.
Okay, look, my personal opinion on this matter is that, look, in Zambia, it's a known fact that access to capital has been a bit of an issue. But obviously now there's a lot of flexibility if you talk to the banks. Not exactly maybe what you'd expect it to be at 100%, but we're seeing a bit of more and more flexibility when it comes to people accessing finance. I mean, we've even seen recent government pronouncements where we're being told where people can, easily apply for loans and grants and things like that. So as a country, I think we're making progress. And obviously there's lots of hope for a small entrepreneur out there.
Where do you think we have it wrong? What are we not doing right to ensure that startups are able to become big?
Basically, my honest opinion, again, is that we're still in a situation where most of the financial players in our country are still very strict, and they're still holding on to traditional form of banking, where bring collateral, and we'll give you the money. And when you look back, most startups, no collateral, no financial records. So people are just running around with their ideas, and it's very difficult for most financiers to back that up. So like I said, as years go by, we're seeing more and more products that are beginning to accommodate that. And I think most banks are opening up, which is a very good thing.
But you've been working with diverse entrepreneurs. What's your view on entrepreneurship? Do you think we're making the right strides?
Yes, as a country, I'm very proud of the fact that, look, when you just go on your Facebook, look at how many people are lobbying to become entrepreneurs, and look at the things that they're trying to do, and so you can understand that now that the appetite is built up, and people are now starting to run for it and just go for it.
Your final words of advice as we wind up concerning trade finance, and probably what it is that you want people to know, the key pointers.
Okay, basically, like I tell people, I say, look, there's been a lot of outcry to say most of the contracts or tenders that government is giving are going to foreigners. But the foreigners have come to understand that, look, there's also means and ways in which you can get international institutions to back you up on all those bids for your tenders. And then there are companies like ours that you don't have to probably put up collateral. We can negotiate with the bank to say, look, we can find a way to structure this deal, and make sure you get the support that you need.
So in short, there's a way that local entrepreneurs are not doing it right.
I'd say that, yes,
to get
because
the government contracts you're talking about.
exactly,
or the big
because
contracts.
you see, look, like I said earlier, to get a big government contract, you need probably to have your financial institution back you up. Now, most of our banks are still on that traditional thing where bring collateral and then we'll be able to give you that. So we are saying that, look, there's an international way of doing it that our colleagues outside Zambia have been doing it. And now we're trying to bring that formula here where experts can sit and see how best they can structure even in the absence of collateral. Yes.
It's doable.
110%.
Okay, thank you so much. We hope you'll be able to share with time some of the success stories from people who probably didn't have collateral but were able to get big contracts.
110%. Just invite me and I'm available every time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr.
God bless
Mwambazi.
you.
All right. So there you have it. I've just been speaking to David Mwambazi, who is AccuSave Corporate Brokers Director, and he was just sharing with us in detail what trade financing is all about and the benefits of trade financing. We take a short break.